Hello once again, everyone. I'm Jared Johnson, the Jared J. Here again with a guy you may have seen before, Talmadge Roger Varnado the third.
You didn't tell me you were going into character.
No, but you've known me long enough that is it
are
really
a
a
character?
surprise? Yeah,
Yeah.
well, there's that too. So today we're going to talk about a topic that some of you may have thought of, some of you may have not. You may all be familiar with the great Bruce Lee, whose picture I have here on my shirt with the words, "Fear is for others." Like a lot of people, I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan. I have tremendous respect for him. There's a lot of people that cannot even accept the fact that anybody could have maybe beaten him in a fight. There's a lot of people that just be like, no, he's the best and nobody ever could. Well, we're going to explore that topic today.
We're going to see.
Talmadge and I have both chosen, I believe, 5
Yeah, I've got 5.
possible. And here's the parameters. Obviously, none of this can be proven. Bruce Lee's no longer amongst the living with us here. The criteria is, for each of these guys, could they, if they had been alive and in the prime of their life, at the time that Bruce Lee was alive, at the prime of his life, could they possibly have defeated him in a fight? Not a tournament where there's scoring, no referees, no rules, a pure, flat-out fight. So that's what we're here to discuss. 5 guys that either we'd love to see him fight Bruce Lee or that we think maybe, possibly, could have beaten him in a fight. So, Talmadge, why don't you give us, I don't have mine ranked, but give me the first 2 off of your list.
Okay, well, like we just said, keep in mind, I'm not saying they would have beaten him. I'm just saying this is something I might want to see. And if they got lucky or it broke the right way,
Yeah.
or could you find a pathway for them to beat Bruce Lee?
Exactly.
And so the first one on my list would be Andre the Giant.
Oh.
Just off a raw, now, because quickness and speed, obviously, he has no chance.
Yeah.
But if he gets that big mitt out and happens to land,
If he ever grabbed a hold of Bruce Lee, yeah.
would he squeeze the life out of him or not? I don't know. Plus, it'd be pretty funny to look at.
There's just indubitably just no question.
So that's.
I like that. We're off to a great start here.
Then I would say my next one, you might as well keep it in the family. How about Brandon? Let's see father and son go at it and see who would win.
Okay. Do you have like a thought on possibly could Brandon beat him? I mean, obviously you think he
I'm
possibly
going to
could.
say chances are no.
Okay.
But I never could beat my dad, so I'm going to cheer for him. Maybe he could beat his. I don't know.
Honestly, I always thought it was kind of unfair to Brandon Lee because when your dad's Bruce Lee, no matter how good you are, people are going to say, big deal. What, your dad could have been better. Like, it was harder for him to impress people with his martial arts skills.
Well, you know when you're a kid and most kids say, my dad could beat your dad?
I bet he laughed harder than any... He would have to laugh louder than any polar bear if anybody ever said that to him. He'd probably say, oh, okay, well, you want your dad to meet here at 3 o'clock? I'll go home and tell my dad.
Goes, not only could my dad not beat your dad, I couldn't beat my dad.
Right. It was like, so what? Neither can anybody. All right. I'm going to name a couple of guys from my list now. And again, there may be some quarreling with some of these choices, and that is okay. First guy I'm going to name is Chuck Norris. He was actually alive during the era with Bruce Lee, so we could have seen this.
Which we would have.
Unless it's been kept a huge under lock and key secret, they never actually fought. To be fair, yes, Bruce was phenomenal. Chuck Norris is an 8th degree black belt. 8th degree. That means he achieved a black belt and then
8 more times.
kept going and did it 7 more times. He also won the World Karate Championship, and that is exactly what it sounds like. It is a tournament for martial artists all over the world. They go till there's one winner. Chuck Norris in the 70s won the World Karate Championship 6 consecutive years. I don't know if anyone else has beaten that streak to this day, not to my knowledge. The reason he did not continue, Bruce Lee's movie career had just taken off. Bruce Lee went to the World Karate Championship just to watch. He saw this guy, approached him afterwards, or maybe not that night, but he got in touch with him soon thereafter.
We knew what you meant.
Later and soon thereafter, to say, hey, I want to offer you a role. I want us to have a fight scene at the end of my next movie. And I heard Chuck Norris say, well, who wins in the movie? And Bruce Lee said, well, I'm the star of the movie. Of course I do. Chuck said, oh, so you just want the world to see you beat the World Karate Champion? He said, no, I want the world to see me kill the World Karate Champion. So Bruce Lee does win the fight in the movie. And I heard
Money
Chuck.
talks.
Yeah, money talks. And Chuck's like, okay, but that's what launched Chuck Norris's movie career. And recently, Chuck was talking about how he and Bruce became good friends. They used to spar together and work out together. And the person interviewing him said, so did y'all like get competitive and heated? Did y'all like kind of borderline fight? Here was Chuck Norris's answer. He said, no, I didn't want that. And believe me, Bruce didn't want that. He said Bruce was great, very fast, very quick. He didn't compete in tournaments like I did. He wasn't polished on my level. Trust me, Bruce didn't want that. And when I first heard that, I thought, I bet there's people getting furious over that. But then I thought, what if he may be right? I don't know.
Well, and Chuck has his following too.
There's no
they're
question.
Staunch believers. Don't take my words. So he has his believers too. So,
Oh, yeah. So there's some that would go with that and some that would say there's just no way that anybody can beat Bruce. Anyway, Chuck is the first one on my list. Second one is a guy some of y'all might not know as well. His name is Nathan Jones. Do you know who this guy is?
Yes.
You do know Nathan Jones?
Yes.
I've only seen him in a couple of movies. He was so huge on screen, I had to look into who he was. He is 6'11", 360 pounds of solid muscle. A little shorter, but bigger than Shaquille O'Neal. Much like with Andre the Giant, I think if those two fought, Bruce's speed and quickness would keep him in it for a while, but he might be able to kick Nathan Jones 84 or 12 times, and Nathan Jones just stand there and then grab him like a little annoying mosquito and just crush him.
That one day. One day we're going to have to
Maybe in 78 or 12 more episodes. Because it probably might not be funny to anybody else, but it is funny to us. But yeah, for the reasons of sheer size, Nathan Jones, if he got a hold of him, could absolutely squash Bruce Lee.
I think he's done some wrestling before.
He was actually a professional wrestler. I forget what his wrestling name was. He wasn't like a big star. But even against the guys his size in a pure fight, you put him up against The Undertaker, Kevin Nash, Nathan Jones might still beat him. I don't know. But yeah, he's my second one. All right, Talmadge, give us another one from your list.
Well, you've already taken one of mine, obviously. Chuck Norris. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that? If you're watching this video, my guess is you want to see that. Because that's the one that, if it weren't on both our lists, I'd be shocked.
If it wasn't on both our lists, some people in the audience might say, but why would they do that?
Okay. So, my next one's a little more controversial because, again, speed and quickness I'm always going to give to Bruce.
Okay.
But I always wondered, if Mike Tyson were to land just one shot, what would happen?
I think I know what would happen. The question would be, could he land the shot?
But if he did.
Yeah, because one punch from Mike Tyson, Bruce, I'm sorry. Bruce fans, I'm sorry.
And
he would be laid out.
And we're talking about Mike Tyson before prison.
Yeah,
not after.
Before Buster Douglas.
But yeah.
That's a good one. I mean, he pure punching power. Bruce Lee, for his size, was an incredibly strong puncher. He wasn't Mike Tyson's size.
Yeah, I think that'd be your difference. I'd still go with Bruce, but just, again, I'd pay to
What
see,
I'd like to
can
see.
you land this punch? Can you slow him down? And if you did, could he take the punch? Because obviously he could take a lot of pain, too.
Yeah, he could, and he might be able to get back up from a square hard hit to the face from Mike Tyson.
But that's interesting.
But then again, he might not be able to, yeah. All right, I love this so far. All right, I'm going to give you, so I did Chuck Norris and Nathan Jones. Next one I'm going to go with is a guy that is currently alive and a very highly respected martial artist. That is Mr. Michael Jai White. If you're not familiar with Michael Jai White, stay on YouTube and look him up when we're finished talking here.
Let me change that. If you're not familiar, get familiar.
That too. Yeah, he is extremely skilled martial artist. Yeah. Maybe not quite to the speed and quickness level as Bruce, but here's another good point. Bruce Lee was 5'7", 135 pounds. Michael Jai White is 6'2", and fluctuates between 225, 235. So the guy that's got martial arts skills to at least compete, and he's 90 to 100 pounds heavier, and it's not because he's eating too much malarkey. He's ripped and that big.
I was about to say, and as ripped as Bruce Lee was, because don't get me wrong.
He was very
But
ripped.
your boy is too.
Michael Jai,
and he's bigger.
90 to 100 pounds heavier and similar physique.
Yeah.
Michael Jai White might be serious trouble for Bruce if they had ever squared up. Let's see, how many more do you have left? You got one or two? All right, I'm gonna give my next one, and then we'll do the 1 and 1.
Okay.
My next guy, former NFL defensive tackle, although briefly, former superstar world wrestling, Mr. Bill Goldberg.
Hadn't thought of that.
Bill Goldberg, 6'2". I think I heard him say he was 290. He might have been 270 to 280, to be fair. I don't know, but doesn't matter. Bruce Lee was 135. We're really splitting hairs, even though Goldberg only has him on his chin. He was 270 to 280. Not only that, I've seen this guy in wrestling matches do backflips, do spinning roundhouse kicks, fly off of the ropes. He wasn't just a big burly oaf that swung punches. He was extremely athletic, ripped pretty good himself, huge chest and shoulders and trapezius. He also, and I don't know if he's a black belt in either of these, but he has studied for years both judo and jiu-jitsu.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So being that stinking big, and he's got at least some martial arts background with his intensity that we saw in the wrestling ring, I think Bruce Lee might be in some serious trouble if those two could have squared off. All right, Talmadge, give us your last one now.
This one's easy. I almost was embarrassed to put it because people have probably thought of this, but Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan. I would just want to see it. Because to me, and again, I'm not putting him side by side, and I'm not an expert, but he seems to have that same speed, that same agility.
It's at least similar.
Yeah. Very similar styles. Again, not an expert, but just from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And so it might be like fighting yourself in the mirror almost. And so I would like to see how they would counter one another.
Yeah.
Because to me, that would be a thinking man's game at that point.
Right.
Because they're both thinkers when they fight anyway.
Normally, either one of them have a higher skill level.
Right.
But at that point,
but
it's more about strategy.
So, yeah, that's my list.
That's a very good one there. My final one is not Jackie Chan, but that was a great option. My final one, though, for a lot of the same reasons, is a guy named Tony Jaa. You familiar with Tony Jaa? Again, if you don't know him after you've watched Michael Jai White on YouTube, stay on here and search for Tony Jaa. Similar in size to Bruce Lee. I think Tony Jaa's like 5'6", 140 maybe, so very much in that range. I'm not saying he could definitively beat Bruce, but I would love to see it, and here's why. I've seen Tony Jaa execute some things that I've never seen anyone else attempt. He's done some stuff that I've never even saw Bruce Lee attempt. Now, could Bruce have done some of it? Maybe. But I've seen Tony Jaa do some things that I've never seen anybody else do. The one thing I'll give him an advantage, when Bruce came along, there wasn't another Bruce Lee to study.
Right.
Tony Jaa is in his late 40s. He had the advantage of growing up being able to study the Bruce Lees, the Chuck Norrises, the Jackie Chans, the Jet Lees,
and things always
the
evolve
Donnie Yens, and things evolve. So there's that. But I've seen this guy stand on one foot, do a roundhouse and kick a guy, land, and then do another one and kick another guy, like split second. He did the halftime entertainment at a Dallas Mavericks show one time. He had some of his stunt guys. These other guys were all about his height. Two of them stood shoulder to shoulder and held another one in their hands. Oh, wow. So the third one was like twice Tony Jaa's height. That third one held a basketball out like this. Tony Jaa looked at it, kind of measured in his mind, backed up and ran, jumped in the air, did a backflip, kicked the ball out of that guy's hand, and landed his feet. There's no camera tricks. It's in front of the whole audience at halftime of the Mavericks game. Never seen anybody do that kind of stuff. In fact, Michael Jai White, I recently saw him in an interview, and he said Tony Jaa is the most physically gifted martial artist the world has ever seen. The guy interviewing him got kind of aggressive and argued, and he said, well, wait a minute. We all know who the top two is. Tony Jaa said, no, we don't. Who do you think the top two is? Well, Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. Michael Jai White laughed in the guy's face. He said, I've done movies with Tony Jaa. We've become friends. I've worked out with him. He's the most physically gifted we've ever seen. And he started describing some of the stuff I'm talking about. And he said, can Jackie Chan do that? Have you seen him do that? Did you ever see Bruce do that? Don't tell me they're for sure number one and number two. This guy does stuff that we've never seen them do. Okay. So again, that's coming from another highly skilled martial artist, flat out saying nobody's ever been like Tony Jaa. Okay. So again, those are our lists. Maybe Bruce Lee could take them all down. We won't know because it's not really possible. But thought it'd be a cool topic, and so there it is. Now, Talmadge, we're about to land the plane on this episode, but I just thought of something, so I do have a question for you.
All right.
Who do you think could chop a tree in half? Who would be more likely to actually chop a tree in half? Andre the Giant or Mr. Miyagi? And again, not Pat Morita, but Mr. Miyagi.
Sounds like a trick question, so I'm going to go with Andre the Giant so you can't answer. Yeah.
You think with that big bear claw, he could just smash right through it?
Pretty much.
You may very well be right. I'm going to have to go with Mr. Miyagi.
As I knew you
I
would.
think Andre would make some dents and break all the bark off. Man, that skill level that Miyagi has, I just think he could actually chop the tree in half, whereas Andre would do a lot of damage and crack it.
Why is it taking him longer to wrap us up than normal?
And maybe it's because when you introduce Andre the Giant and Miyagi in one sentence, you just don't need to wrap it up. But it might not be that.
We really need it badly.
We can wrap up when we wrap up. It's not Christmas. We don't have any presents to wrap up. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us again. Talmadge, thank you for joining us once again. Sir. It's indubitably just no question a pleasure to have you here. If you haven't already done so and you like the video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. It will enable me to continue to bring you this type of content and alert you when I do have new content available. For Talmadge Roger Varnado III, I am Jared Johnson, the Jared J. Y'all have a great week and hope I see you again here real soon. Do you think Kurt...